everybody, Mike Smedley here. We're in the garden and we're going to be talking about bulbs, particularly the spring planting bulbs. And as you know, bulbs can brighten up a garden like nothing can. So the trick is to get the right kind of bulb. So the right kind of bulb to brighten things up are not these kinds of bulbs, okay? Don't plant these because there's no electricity in the ground, and they're best for inside the house. As tempting as it sounds. The type of bulbs we're looking at are these type of geophytes. Tulips, muscari, crocus, all the great things that came in your package with the Durango Botanic Gardens for the bulb sale here. So there's just a couple just really super easy tricks that to plant bulbs, because it's not that difficult. You know, people have a tendency to make things harder than they need to be. So it really is dig a hole in the ground, plant the bulb, cover it with soil, water it in, and you're done. That being said, what's the easiest way to do that? I'd say, you know, if you got a crazy old beat up trowel, all you have to do is just dig a hole, get the bulb, put it in, pointy side up, cover it up, and if you've got some fertilizer, just sprinkle that on a little bit, water it in, and you're done. So there's a couple things there. You have a trowel, that works great. You can have a real junky one, a cheap one like this, a real expensive one made especially for bulbs. Or you can, what I like, if I've got a lot of crocuses, like hundreds of them to plant, I like to use a power drill with a spade bit. So this spade bit here is 1.5 inches across, and it creates the perfect hole for crocuses. So all you have to do is just put stuff in the ground like that, and you've got all these holes, plunk, 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 cover it up, and you're done. The one thing I wouldn't recommend is this particular tool. And this particular tool you can get at lots of places, and you know what? It's made for folks that have really loose chocolate cake-like soil. And the soil here in the Four Corners, and actually throughout most of the West, is pretty much pottery grade clay. So what it does is you have to really struggle to push this in there like this. And then the soil's supposed to come with it, and it really sort of does. And then you have to push that out, and it's just, don't bother with this stuff. It's just, this is nice for making biscuits. This might be nice for baked goods. Just make sure you clear the dirt out of it if you use it in the kitchen. But I think you're going to have to be digging anyway, so you may as well just do the work. As we said, you plant with the pointy side up. On all bulbs, you'll see this. This is called the basal plate, and this is from where the roots come out. So pointy side up, and just get it in the ground. Now that being said, how deep do you plant it? Well, on this particular bulb, it's a tulip. You plant it 2 to 3 times the circumference of the bulb. That's the general rule of thumb with absolutely pretty much every bulb that there is out there. But don't take a tape measure and do that type of stuff. Bulbs will figure it out, but it's just the bigger the bulb, the deeper it needs to go. Tulips here, you know, you can plant them up to 6 to 8 inches deep. That's a little bit deep in my book, but I've done that before, and they're fine. The bulbs can figure it out. So the smaller bulbs, of course, those are going to be about that deep. We talked about fertilizer. So any bulb fertilizer is going to be great. I love the stuff that you get with the Durango Botanic Supply, or Durango Botanic Gardens supply that you get when we do the bulb sale. It's the NPK is 353. That means it's going to be putting more nutrients towards root growth. That's the 5 number. Whatever you do, don't use like Miracle Grow or any of these grass type high nitrogen fertilizers. What'll happen there is you'll have all this bulb foliage and no bloom. So you don't want that. You don't have to fertilize, but it's always a nice thing. So just on your hole, just sprinkle a little bit in, mix it in, cover it up, and you're done on that part. So there's one other trick to tell everybody about, and that is, what do you do? So the one way to kill a bulb is to chop off its foliage in the spring. So after the bulb blooms, just wait. It's going to be a couple weeks when it's really kind of ugly. It's going to be turning kind of tan. It's not dying, it's just going dormant. So you wait for all of the leaves, I mean all of them, to be brown or tan colored, and then you can pull it out. So at that point, you're ready to go. And the final note is, let's all think about the weather and the seasons. So right now we're underneath a willow tree. It's shady, and they think, well, that's a dumb place to plant tulips that need full sun. The trick is, this is actually a sun garden. So as the sun moves to the south and the trees drop from or the leaves drop from the trees, you're gonna have a full sun garden here from January, February, March, and April. So March and April are when the bulbs are gonna come out. And then the leaves are gonna turn, and then it'll be back in shade. But the bulbs are already done at that point. So you guys have this unique ability to have a sun garden for part of the year. And that's on the south side of a deciduous tree. That's the perfect place for bulbs. The other thing that's nice about that is a deciduous tree has a root system that extracts water from the soil, and most bulbs like it drier than you think. Most of these guys come from Central Asia, and they actually require to be drier when they're dormant, in other words, in the summertime. So I think underneath the tree on the south side is one of the best places you could plant a bulb garden. And besides, it needs it because, you know, nothing's really growing in March and April except the bulbs that you plant. So happy planting, everybody. It's going to be fun, and you're going to have an awesome spring garden.